Imagine entering a world where you don't understand the rules of physics. Gravity is a force that randomly throws you at the ground. Your own bodily functions are terrifying, unpredictable mysteries. And the other giant beings walking around you, they are entirely unpredictable, potentially hostile threats. This is the biological reality of a human toddler. We enter the world entirely unsocialized, with a nervous system that lacks the neurological tools required to process environmental friction or physical pain. Without those tools, the human default response to this overwhelming daily friction is a systemic meltdown. When a toddler bumps their knee, their brain doesn't register a minor scrape, it registers an existential crisis, triggering panic and a full-blown tantrum. So how does a chaotic, self-centered, and completely dysregulated biological organism transform into a functioning, cooperative member of human society? The programming for this transformation is embedded within the repetitive, hypnotic lyrics of toddler media. These earwormy songs function as initial training modules, installing the early logic required to navigate the human social contract. This diagram represents the hierarchy of toddler needs. Behavioral training starts at the bottom, the physiological baseline. Before a child learns to share, they must feel physically safe. We see this in the Boo Boo song. This flowchart maps out the necessary intervention. The songs deploy a repetitive lyrical strategy. They offer a constant guarantee of caregiver help, looping phrases like, "Don't worry, I will help you," promising to make the pain go away. This repetition establishes emotional object permanence, the cognitive understanding that physical distress is a temporary state of being rather than a permanent reality. The lyrics run through the spectrum of physiological crises a toddler might face: bumps in the backyard, falling from a ride, a red nose, and sheer exhaustion. Ending these verses with phrases like "get well soon" and "my baby looks better now," the lyrics demonstrate a reliable cycle of recovery, teaching the brain to expect an end to physical pain. But sometimes the problem isn't a physical injury. The songs also map out a triage strategy for when a baby is crying simply due to environmental overwhelm. When the crying starts, the caregiver initiates a mechanism of redirection. By offering a sequence of alternate stimuli, a lollipop, a bicycle, or a car, they hijack the child's attention to reset their nervous system. This foundational layer of training transforms a toddler's physical panic into predictable patterns. With their internal alarms quieted, the child has the bandwidth to look outward. Looking outward means confronting the playground. This is an arena of finite resources, where the minimally self-regulated toddler faces their next challenge: other competitors. On our pyramid, the child now moves to the second tier, resource diplomacy. This is where they begin to negotiate the social contract. The songs model this transition by framing disputes over property. Characters start by stating, "It's mine today," while holding a doll or a toy plane, eventually conceding that it's ours. When two children approach a single slide or a swing, the instinct to push, shove, and argue is the default biological response to a zero-sum scenario. To solve this, rhymes introduce taking turns. This matrix illustrates the problem. Two participants fighting over one unit means neither can use it. But taking turns artificially expands a limited resource. The lyrics reframe sharing not as a loss, but an emotional reward, bringing joy. They even supply the formal negotiation scripts to execute the trade. The exchange of "I say please" and "you say okay" gives children a step-by-step vocabulary to resolve conflicts. By shifting the focus from the object to the act of play, the song introduces the primary mechanics of mutual compromise. Once this training takes hold, the playground enters a new state. The initial chaos is replaced by the regulated alignment of sharing and caring. But the utility of these scripts extends beyond the sandbox. If we zoom out, we see this same logic operating across the adult world. The capacity to process a scraped knee builds the same internal management an adult uses to maintain composure during a professional crisis. The logic used to negotiate a 5-minute turn on a toy airplane scales into the collaborative frameworks adults use to manage shared resources and institutional agreements. This developmental apex provides the operational requirement for collective human progress. The next time a repetitive nursery rhyme plays, remember it's performing a specific function. It is the initial behavioral training that allows the human social contract to operate.